improving our systems, and developing our people. But everything is going is not enough. We must also expand and reach new markets. Building strategic partnerships, creating value that goes beyond ourselves. This is what this gathering is so important. It is not just another business that opportunity to connect with like-minded minds, like-minded leaders, to share knowledge and experience, and to build relationships that can transform the future of businesses and indeed our communities. I'm encouraging each of you here to take full advantage of this platform. Network with others. Learn with an open mind. And most importantly, live here with more actionable ideas. Partnership or commitment that will help you build and expand your business. Once again, I commend BNI for the learning foundation. I'm confident that we will mark the beginning of a bigger, older, thank you very much. Wish you very high success. God bless you.
So thank you so much, Mr. Ibola Akindele. And as we get into the heart of this conference this morning, I'm going to ask one of our key leadership team to come and introduce our keynote speaker. We do have Dr. Otuma Kibo in the house.
Thank you. Okay, we have informed that Dr. Adebola Akindele would have to leave. He has a commitment somewhere. So I'm going to invite Mr. Again Power to please come up here so we can take a quick photo and probably do a little presentation. Dr. Akindele, please go back.
So let's get this on. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So, keynote address based on our team, expand and educate, future-proofing the Nigerian enterprise. To give us the address, we have the representative from the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, We're supposed to have the president and chairman of council, but we are so fortunate that in his absence, we have the vice president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Gabriel Dahosa was supposed to be here, but unfortunately, the scheduling changed at the last minute. In his professional practice, Mr. Gabriel Dahosa founded the firm Gabriel Dahosa and Co. in 1980, now known as UHY Professional Services, a member of the UHY International Network with over 240 offices in 100 countries. Mr. Gabriel Dahosa is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, where he previously chaired the Kano District Society and served on the Professional Practice Committee. He's a distinguished business leader with an exceptional record of service, leadership, and contribution to professional development and industry. So we thank Mr. Gabriel Dahosa for giving us his vice president to come in and represent him. Please let's stand up, give a round of applause as we invite Otumba Akimbo to come in and give us a keynote address.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Apologies from Secretary Roger Dawes, I was able to this morning. So, it's an honor to be with you all today at this inaugural BNI Lagos Mainland Regional Conference. The BNI shares with BNI their common mission to create an enabling environment where businesses not only survive, but thrive, scale, and contribute meaningfully to national prosperity. Your chosen theme, elevate and expand. It captures perfectly the ambitions of every business which they should hold. To rise above challenges, strengthen its systems, and extend their impact. We live in a time of transformation. The pace of change across global markets is unprecedented. From artificial intelligence reshaping industries to shifting consumer expectations and redefining supply chains. According to the World Economic Forum 2024 report, over 80% of business leaders believe that innovation and collaboration will be the twin drivers of future growth. In Nigeria, despite macroeconomic headwinds, our entrepreneurial spirit remains one of the most resilient in the world. To elevate means to raise our standards, sharpen our competencies, and lead the vision. To expand means to push beyond the boundary, open new markets, and deepen the value we offer to society. But these goals can only be achieved through strategic pillars, such as purposeful leadership, strategic collaboration, and trust-based networks. At the foundation of every thriving enterprise is a clear sense of purpose anchored in enduring values. Purposeful leadership transcends profit making. It is about building organizations that stand for something greater than themselves. The great Nigerian industrialist Aliko Dangote once said, "Every morning when I wake up, I make up my mind to solve as many problems as I can before going to bed." That mindset of business as problem solving has propelled a small trading firm to Africa's largest industrial conglomerate. Full leadership requires clarity of vision, consistency in execution, and a culture of accountability. It is what turns an idea into an institution. We see this across our nation. Entrepreneurs like Tara Toye of House of Tara, who elevated a small beauty startup into a continent-wide brand, or Jim Ofia, whose strategic foresight helped define modern banking in Nigeria. Their stories remind us that success is not accidental. It's intentional, disciplined, and driven by values. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we believe that the next phase of enterprise must focus on responsible capitalism, where profit and purpose coexist. Businesses that elevate their vision and values build not only wealth, but also trust, impact, and a lasting legacy. No organization, regardless of its size, can thrive in isolation. In the 21st century economy, collaboration is not optional. It is a strategic necessity. BNI was founded on a timeless truth: givers gain. Givers gain. The more value you create for others, the more opportunities return to you. BNI's structured networking system has proven globally that trust and referrals are far more effective than cold transactions. In practice, strategic collaboration transforms markets. Take the story of once unemployed graduates who built fashion and textile empires by partnering with other small businesses in tailoring, design, and distribution. Their growth was not driven by massive capital, but by collective efforts. Similarly, the partnership between Flutterwave and PayPal in 2021 opened the Nigerian digital payment ecosystem to millions of local customers, creating cross-border access that once seemed impossible. Collaboration multiplies capacity. When enterprises share knowledge, networks, and expertise, they mitigate risk and accelerate innovation. That is why the LCCI continues to champion public-private partnerships and cross-sectoral collaboration, because true expansion comes not from competition alone, but from cooperation. In today's hyper-connected world, trust has become the most valuable currency in business. Customers, investors, and partners no longer buy products alone. They purchase credibility. Their trust and reputation opens doors that no advertising budget can. And that is the genius of BNI's model. It institutionalized trust through accountability, mentorship, and integrity in referrals. According to a 2024 BNI Global Report, over 314,000 members across 79 countries generated more than $20 billion in referred business within 1 year, all built on trust. And that is more than numbers. It explains that relationships are the proper infrastructure for enterprise. In Nigeria, trust is an even more critical differentiator. The State of Entrepreneurship Report 2024 by Faith Foundation showed that startup creation declined from 32% in 2022 to 24% in 2024 due to economic constraints. Entrepreneurs who belong to structured networks have demonstrated 38% higher business development rate than those that do not. Trust networks, therefore, are not social luxuries, they are survival mechanisms. Yet, to truly expand, we must shift our mindset from local survival to global leadership. The African Continental Free Trade Area offers us access to a combined market of 1.3 billion people and a GDP of $3.4 trillion. Through strategic networks like BNI, Nigerian entrepreneurs export not just products, but also ideas, talent, and solutions. Imagine BNI members in Lagos connecting directly with counterparts in Kenya, South Africa, and the United Kingdom, turning trust-based referrals into transnational partnerships. This is Nigeria's moment. The world is watching, and entrepreneurs must rise by leveraging digital tools, reimagining business models, and forming alliances that elevate our collective voice in global commerce. As we reflect on this theme, I urge every entrepreneur in this room to make a deliberate commitment to elevate and expand, not just buzzwords, but as living cycles. Refuse mediocrity. Instead, strive for operational excellence, ethical leadership, and consistent innovation. Excellence attracts others together. Number two, be intentional about relationships by attending BNI meetings with purpose. Don't just exchange cards, exchange value. Cultivate your relationships patiently, and they will yield fruit. Three, seek partnerships that challenge your thinking and complement your weaknesses. Collaboration is a bridge that spans ambition and achievement. Four, integrity remains your greatest asset. To succeed in business, you must build a brand and never destroy it. And five, deliver on every promise. talkers, be the doer whose word becomes hers. In brief, I would like to commend BNI Lagos Mainland for this very visionary initiative. We are not merely hosting a conference, we are building a movement that embodies the best of Nigerian enterprise, courage, collaboration, and community. The Chamber stands ready to partner with you in advancing enterprise, promoting ethical practice, and driving inclusive growth across sectors. Let this inaugural conference mark the beginning of a new chapter where Nigerian entrepreneurs unite, share, and thrive together. Let us move forward and elevate, expand, and excel. Thank you.
Please let us give him another round of applause. Thank you so much. That was very, very instructive. In line with our theme for today, expand and elevate, we have been told that to future-proof our enterprises, our businesses, we need to be excellent in how we do it, in what we do, in our communication, in our liaison with our clients, because excellence attracts opportunities. We've been told that when we meet as BNI members, we should also exchange values. We should also cultivate meaningful, long-lasting relationships. Integrity is the greatest asset that we could have, whether as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as members of BNI, and in our businesses. And we should deliver on our promise. So once again, thank you so much, Otumba Kimbo. You couldn't have said it any much better. We are indeed very grateful to you. Thank you, sir. So we'll go ahead with our program for today. I'll call on our Executive Director, Dr. Ukem Mufama, to talk to us about the BNI system. So for those of us that are learning BNI or getting to understand BNI for the very first time, or we have a little bit of haziness, we really don't understand what the BNI concept is all about. Now this is your time to bring out your pen and paper, take some jotting, and listen to all that is BNI. For BNI members that are in the house, BNI, local business, we are BNI. We are BNI.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I'm going to be a bit less official now to talk about BNI. This is a passionate one for me. And so, before I go ahead and share details about what BNI stands for and who we are, I would crave indulgence to watch this clip. politician in this country that when he votes, nobody says, go and verify. So please go and verify. Okay, so that is outrageous. I don't know how much, like my colleague would say, I don't know how much annual budget this country has compared to what we generate on an annual basis. And we are existing in more than 76 countries. And of course, being a member of BNI positions us in the world. So it's a local business that we operate in locally, but with a very global perspective. BNI is guided by 7 core values, but out of the 7, we have one that is, we call that our core philosophy, and we call it give us gain. What does it mean? What does give us gain mean? We recognize in BNI that if you have somebody get what he wants, you will definitely get what you want. And that's the foundation upon which BNI has been built over 41 years, 41 in January next year. So we don't, when we come into a room, we want to ask how we can help. We want to ask our members how we can help them, you know. And by helping them, nature has a way of transferring that, you know, good, just help back to yourself. But the important thing is that, yes, it is important that we find how to help people, but you really have to be willing. Nobody's forcing you to help. But when you get into this platform, you really have to demonstrate that willingness to help first. And so you are not coming to say, I need you to give me referral, I need you to give me referral. The thing is, you really have to find out how to help the other individual for the other individual to help you and help another individual as well. So we have our member benefits. Let me talk about the three key strengths that actually sustain us. Number one, BNI helps our members to save time. It helps us to save money, and it helps us to do our businesses with dignity. How does it help you to save time? Many times we want to reach Dr. Needy. And of course, if you're trying to reach Dr. Needy or Mrs. Sterling, you know that it's not an easy feat. All right? Okay, so it is between two of you, whoever that it is easy to reach. Okay, so let's say if you want to reach them, you know that there are barriers, there are walls, you know, that are built around them that you cannot easily break. And it could take you upward of 6 months to reach one individual. And assuming you want to break into an organization to do business or to submit a proposal, that happens. You have to really hit some walls before you break through. But with BNI, it's just a breeze. And what do we do in order to sell time? We find who knows somebody that knows somebody in that type of environment that could open the door for us to step in. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to also announce to you that that was how we have got Dr. Needy to speak with us. And of course, Mr. Gensler and so Tumba Kimbo, right, to speak with us today. It's just by building relationships. And we have a way of translating those relationships into money. But you see, money is not our priority. It's building that relationship, cutting down the time, building and then transforming it into money. And because over time, we have demonstrated honesty, integrity, and everything that was talked about here. We carry ourselves as if we're the best. And I believe we are. Because the integrity that we've built speaks for us in terms of dignity. BNI is a marketing organization. So if you're a member of BNI, you're a marketing director for your colleagues, for one another. And so one of the benefits we enjoy as members of BNI is that if you're a small business owner who's not got a marketing department because of budget, and then you step into a chapter of BNI, that chapter becomes your marketing department. And if you're an organization where you already have a marketing department, And then you become a member of BNI in any of your chapters. That chapter becomes an extension of your marketing department. And what it means is that if you're 35, if you're 20, if you're 17, if you're 50 in that department, in that chapter, every member within that chapter is a marketing director for you. They'll go out to look for business for you. And how do they do that? Just by referral. So there is something that we are aware of, and this is very critical. In business today, it is like dog eats dog, isn't it? It's like point and kill. Because when you're chasing them down, a client, you really have to chase him or her down to be able to get him. And whoever that is in your way becomes, here in front of you, ahead of you becomes an enemy. So competition is stiff. And what we see normally that happens when people compete is that you trample on one another's head or feet. But in Vienna, we eliminate competition. So how do we do that? We do that by ensuring that if you are coming in as a photographer, for instance, you are going to be the only photographer in that chart. And once you lock up that classification, that business classification, there's no other photographer that can operate within that chapter. The best we can do for that individual is to look for another chapter for him or her where they're on the photographer. And so if you're a consultant, if you're a medical doctor, whatever you are, that's why we tell you that 40 members in a room represent 40 industries or 40 business sectors. Because each member speaks for each business sector. And that's what we call exclusive seat. So when you come in, you lock it up. I wonder what somebody like Dr. Cosmos Madoka, who has lots of franchises, for trade, how much he paid to have a franchise, say with 4. And then we give you a franchise just based on your membership. And you sit on that seat as long as you're going to be doing it. Yes. Global connection. You have an agency, it wasn't a joke. I mean, it was serious. I mean, it's true that we are local businesses with global connections. And so what that means is that if you're a local member of a BNI chapter here in Lagos, Mainland, you have visibility in all the 77 plus countries where BNI have its chapters. You have access to those members, 340,000 members and counting. And so you can, just by making a phone call, you can connect with somebody in India, in the US, in Kenya, in US, in UAE, South Africa, anywhere within this network. So connection or connectivity locally and internationally is not usually a problem for us in Vienna. The truth is that we are a business organization that functions in building relationships. Because what we do is word of mouth referral. If I understand what business it does, so it is up to me to go out and speak to my friends and to my network and members that he does not know, my circle that he does not know. So what it does is to come riding on my back, the truth that I have with the other individual, and make it sell and go. How much do we collect from them? And so it's important we emphasize that whatever amount of business we pass to you, we do not ask for 1% commission, as it is tradition. Okay, so I think finally we have what we call lifelong learning. This is one of our core values. We also understand the fact that many entrepreneurs, once you start chasing deals, chasing sales, you don't care about improving your knowledge. We know that if you're a professional in your business, if you're not growing intellectually, then you are not really maximizing the marketplace for yourself. So we have built what we call BNI University, and it offers our members access to very robust university, you have courses like communication, leadership skills, relationship building, um, conflict resolutions, and all of those free of charge, and best of the best, within the industry. So, if you have listened to BNI and listened to this presentation and you want to learn more about BNI, I'll be standing somewhere there. So I would really appreciate if you want to come over to me so we can talk more about BNI. And if you think this by any chance something you want to explore, if you want to be part of this global network in more than 77 countries, I'll be willing to share more information with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ken Palmer. I'm always calling doctor. I think that just goes with the sage that he is. So much wisdom and so much resourcefulness. So let's give him a round of applause once again. Yeah, thank you so much. BNI, local business. BNI, business. So, if you know what BNI is all about, it's all about networking, it's all about collaboration, it's all about ensuring that we bring growth to our businesses. So this is a time where we'll be sitting down for the past 25, 30 minutes, then we get to stretch our legs. Are we happy about that? Yes. So I'm not going to do anything to ask you to move, to take your hands up and everything. I'm just going to ask you to look at your left and to your right. Say hello to the person that is on your left, that is on your right. Exchange your business cards and tell them what you do. So you can do that one or two okay. We have people that today. guests that are here with us, you have a smart card. If you do not have a smart card, please let us know and we will get one across to you. But we need everyone seated, please. Excuse me. Please, we need everyone seated, please. We need everyone seated, please. Because right now, we are going to take our guest speaker's speech. And it's our honor and our pleasure to have Dr. Nini Adesoya with us. If you know Dr. Nini, you know that the next couple of minutes are going to be super impactful. But I need everyone seated and quiet, please. Can I do that, please? Let's be seated. Yes.
Sit down.
Dr. Lee will be speaking on digital transformation and scaling. As we are still on our theme of expand and elevate, future-proofing Nigerian enterprises. I will ask our leadership, one of our leadership team, Dr. Oscar Dike, to come out and help us with introducing Dr. Lee and reading out his profile. Thank you.
BNI Adesoya is a domain within the African consulting landscape. Renowned for his transformative impact on organizational development and leadership, C-suite executives and seasoned professionals across various sectors, helping them navigate their business re-engineering processes. He is an unrivaled and renowned performance strategist and a speaker with strong acumen. His business and life coaching platform has helped business owners across various sectors fall through the complexities of today's rapidly changing business environment. Using his innovative MACE procedure template that he developed from his years of leadership management practice. An option of this engagement with the business owners have yielded between 63 to 313% increase in their bottom line. Beyond the boardroom, his influence reverberates on a global scale through his captivating keynote addresses. His eloquence and insights captivate audiences, making him a sought-after speaker who inspires and empowers listeners to catalyze change in their spheres. His profound contributions are exemplified in his commitment to national leadership excellence. His flagship program, the BNI Adesoya Leadership Bootcamp, Africa's premier leadership pilgrimage, draws luminaries and industry leaders from around the world. Through immersive experiences and practical tools, participants delve into the depths of leadership teachings, emerging as agents of transformation in the society. BNI Adesoya is CEO of Fifth Gear Plus, a consulting, recruiting, and publishing firm with clients including at least one of the top 3 organizations in major sectors of the Nigerian economy. With much insight and depth, he provides expertise consultancy while sharing strategic sessions aimed at helping these organizations optimize their corporate potential. He was awarded Nigeria's foremost performance strategist, Middle East African Business Award, Leadership Coach of the Year, and Top 10 magazine, and awarded African Prize for Leadership Excellence. He is a doctoral fellow of the Institute of Leadership Assessment and Development, an accredited member of the International Council of ILAT. He was issued a certificate of honor as as a personality of the year by African Advancement Forum. He is also an esteemed facilitator at the renowned Daystar Leadership Academy in Nigeria, a non-profit institution dedicated to leadership and management development with a legacy of over 50,000 graduates since inception in 2002. His literary contributions further fortify his legacy as the author of 6 compelling books on public speaking, leadership, and peak performance. He imparts wisdom that transcends pages, igniting transformation in individuals and organizations alike. His multifaceted role as an advisor, author, speaker, and a board member emphasizes his holistic approach to driving a centenary change in the corporate landscape. He is also the chairman of the trustees of the Adesanya Foundation, a non-governmental organization with a vision to raise empowered Africans full of hope and confidence, catalyzing positive change across the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, has an already welcome Dr. Jerry Thurston.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Good morning. Today we can take the microphones. I think going to work together. Good morning, Your Excellencies. Okay. Am I in the wrong group? Right room. Right room. Am I in the wrong group? Right room. Good morning, Your Excellencies. Good morning. I just want to clarify this. Oh, the profile that you read is not part of my time allotted. No. Okay, good. Because whenever I speak, I always fight for time and everything. But it's good to be here and it's good to know what BNI is doing. And particularly, I like the fact that you're being talking institutes and a lot of and just like Mr. Eken said, is it Dr. Eken now? Is it possible that Mr. Photograph, let me take that flower away from there? So I can look into his eyes. Thank you. So, you know, it was saying a lot about networking. But you know that what works is that you have to give to BNI what you take out of BNI. You must give to BNI more than you take out of BNI. If you take more out of BNI than you give to BNI, BNI will not be standing again. So you have to give more than you give. That's what makes network work. Please let us know that. Mr. Eken, thank you for this wonderful opportunity and the privilege to speak here today. And also, Pascal, thank you. And also, I think Dr. Austin, he's not here right now. Those are the people that pulled me in here. But they cut my trip to Doha short because I was already enjoying. I was doing some things I did in Doha that I've never done before in my life. You know, I was jumping from the 3-story building and everything like that. So the adrenaline was pumping. And then I just had to cut it short. I arrived yesterday so that I can be here with the make some fantastic new friends here. And one of them is Otumba doctor. Okay, no, let's leave the doctor. That's a doctor, it's not a doctor. Combined goals, you know, Otumba doctor. It's so good to be here. Your speech was so invigorating, and thank you so much for all that. Come, Mr. Cameraman, sit down. I know, Mr. Whiteman, sit down. See, when you are, so like, I like to see the people I'm talking to. You see, you will have just denied me of this wonderful smile that I have on this. Thank you so much for what you do. And also, I have Mrs. Modupe Oni here. Thank you for what you do. I mean, you shared the story with me just now, how you're turning your focus to mass education, which is quite commendable. Thank you so much for going to Makoko that most of us will not go. Going there to make sure that you impact the lives and make education something worth it. And you have this vision that, you know, if we're not careful, we will block the pipeline to have great talents. Thank you for going to the grassroots. Thank you for impacting the masses. Thank you for creating a good Nigeria for I and you, or you and I, whichever way it goes. Thank you so much
A round of applause for her. You'll hear so much about this. I feel already come to talk. So, guys, how many of us have done business for 20 years? We've done business for 20 years. You've been in business for 20 years. Let me share 20 years. Raise your hand now. 20 years of doing business, not working for somebody. Your business started 20 years. Eh? What? HR, no, no, forget that. I'm not talking about HR. I'm talking about entrepreneurship. You started your own business. You're sure, raise up your hands. 20. 20. So those are the people that can be talking when I'm talking. Just. This is it, guys. This is it. And the most important thing is that BNI will deal with the network part, I will deal with the business part. How do you rate your business? You're not in business until you've done 10 years. Hope you know that. Because data and statistics is not on your side. For every 100 businesses that started 10 years ago, within 5 years, 90 of them will die. And then 10 of them will survive the second 5 years. And out of the 10 that survives the second 5 years, it's expected that 9 of them will die, and then only one will survive after 10 years. So the odds are really, really against us. And we need to pay attention to some basic things so that we do not come back and start giving stuff. Guys, we need to stop the conversation there as much as possible. We need to come back and begin to talk to ourselves about this. And I have this vision to always impact and bring businesses that will pay sectional businesses that are going to be surviving for 150 years, 50, 100 years. And that makes me do a lot of research to look at business and to look at how they are thriving. And then once I'm talking about elevate and expand, I think most Nigerian businesses, they expand too soon. They expand too soon. And then they thought that because they're making some good money, some billions of naira is coming into their account, they feel that they can go into some other things. Before you expand, there's a demand there's a question that you must answer before you expand, and even before you elevate. So those are one of the conversations that we'll be having. And one important thing here is that since this is a networking program, one thing every businessman must know here, every business person must know here, that I'm being gender sensitive before I get kicked out of here by the powerful. Anyway, let's move on. So, one thing you need to know as a business person is that your business can never survive in isolation. No matter how ingenuine, your ingenuity, your creativity, your innovation, it can never survive in isolation. So, if you have not been visited by regulators of your industry because you're not doing great numbers yet, immediately you start doing some great numbers, they will knock on your door and see whether all those books are really tidy or not. So you have to deliberately work on that right now before you get to that point. In his book, Good to Great by Jim Collins, they did a lot of research on some companies that became great and some that couldn't become great, but they were good companies that couldn't become great. They did a research on 1,400 thereabouts companies, and they realized that it's less than 10% of those companies that became great. And when they further research, they realized that the guys who became great were thinking about greatness before they became good. Did you get that? Yeah. The ones that did not become great, that became good, were not thinking about greatness until they became good. So what we're trying to say right now, anything that will make you survive, anything that will make you stay in the game for 20, 30, 40 years, you need to start thinking about it even earlier than now. You must go back to the trenches and you need to ask yourself some questions. What am I doing right now? Whatever I'm doing right now, can it take me 25 years? Can it take me 30, 40, 50 years? Because there's something called the long-time perspective. And the long-time perspective states that the longer you put into concentration, when you're planning or when you're thinking, the better you are than somebody who puts a shorter time into concentration. In other words, the person who puts 20, 30, 40 years into consideration, when they are strategizing, they are better off than someone who's putting 2 years or 5 years into consideration. So the longer you put into consideration, in other words, what I'm trying to say here is that if you want your business to thrive, you need to be thinking 50 years. Probably some of us will not even be alive when your business is 50 years right now, 50 years from now. But definitely you will start taking actions that will determine what you need to do in 50 years. And 50 years to control you. John Maxwell said that if you lose focus of the ultimate, you become a prisoner of the immediate. And that's very, very instructive. We don't want to be prisoner of the immediate. The immediate situation we have in our country right now could not be palatable, but if you're thinking about now, you may not. If you're not thinking about 20, 30, 40 years, you may be swallowed up by what is happening in the world and especially in Nigeria. And most importantly, we know that we are all in the book of war. I think when Otunga was talking, he was talking about AI. I don't know about you, but that AI thing is very scary. So I forgot your name again, sorry. Shankar. You know, he's always, whenever you meet anybody from India, he's always decided or, you know. Well, it's good to, you know, we're talking about AI and everything. And that's very scary, guys. That's really, really scary. And you need to pay attention to it. What AI is driving us into is not vocal. I think it could be called vocal, but I think it's more about the you in the vocal. Because when you look at the forward, volatile, uncertain, complex, and then ambiguous, you realize that three of those words can actually be calculated. It's based on the fact that you have done a research and you figure out that something is volatile. If you have not done your research and done your findings, you will say something is volatile. I hope you know that. And then also, when it comes to ambiguous and complex, it's a situation. Complex situation that makes you that makes you done some few calculations. But the word uncertain is that you don't even know where it is coming from. You don't even know how the shape it is coming with. You don't even know whether this thing will swallow you up or it will trace you up. And that is where we are right now. We are in a very uncertain situation. And that is why every businessman needs collaboration. Every business person needs to be in a group like this and then glean from one another. Coming to BNI, please don't just look at what do I need to get out of it. I said that earlier. It's not about the connection, it's more about the mental intercourse that should take place here. It's more about the exchange of ideas, more about how do you fortify what you have already built and how do you take it to the next level. Now, the uncertainty that is coming has no respect for the number of years that you have spent doing business. The uncertainty that is coming has no respect for how much you have saved in your bank account. Has no respect for it because we see people who make billions of naira, sorry, billions of dollars that are nowhere in the radar of success right now. I have a video here. I think I should just play the video. Let me see if the magic can be done in this video. Okay, there's no volume here. So can you take the microphone? Is the DJ part of our BNI? They are not. No, because they can't have exclusive rights. The sound guy is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I can play it now. Okay, good. Yeah, I can play it now. Don't worry, I can play it. Just watch it. You know, yeah. people say to me, how can you sell this for such a low price? Correct. There's a guy doing it from the Daily school.
Okay, let's talk about helping women to get arrested. There's a lot of messages to pick from here, but we don't have time to go through all that. But one thing I need to know is that this is 1991, and this guy made a year before he made 125 million pounds in profit, not in income, in profit. 125 million pounds in profit. And then the next year he's selling his debts, selling his houses and everything like that. That tells you something that money may not be enough to protect you on the long term game. Then you need to look at some other things. A lot of things to learn here, but we don't have the time for that. Number one, don't joke about your business. That's what it tells. It tells you when you hold the mic, don't bring down yourself in front of anybody. Everybody, that's the thing. But this is the please note that no matter who you are, no matter what you have done, you need to be on your toes for you to survive. And the world, business world is getting so fierce, so furious. Newcomers are coming, and they may be smiling at you at BNI, but definitely, we don't have competition at BNI. But when we meet in the marketplace, we are very competitive. And whether you embrace it or not. So I have some few thoughts to share, and hopefully I'll be able to get through it in a short while. And this is it. Now this is the beats. You guys should sit down. Sit down. The two of you should sit down. You're blocking people behind you. Good. So when you look at this, I'll just try and make sure I can dissect this as quick as possible. There are two frameworks here to keep you surviving. This is business. We must do business. We must do business in a very big way. Enough of, we exchanged 220 million naira. Am I right? We should be doing 220 billion naira in exchange amongst ourselves. And if we're not thinking big, if we're not aiming big, we can get those billions coming in that we can exchange within ourselves. So pay attention to the two frameworks here. The fourth one is what we call the ambidextrous strategy, which every businessman must embrace. Number two, and then the second one is the out three framework. I'll just go through it because of my time. I will be rushing. There's so much to unpack here. The first out of the have three framework is what I call the reputational framework, the reputational side of it, which talks about your value driven. You must guide your reputation. You must, and that's why you can't talk carelessly, like the guy who watched the video there. When you are in the public space, even in the private space, I've got 2, 3 people like that, you have to be careful about the words that you speak. And then when we talk about reputation, we're talking about you having a value-driven reputation. Your reputation must be value-driven. Now, if you have not articulated your values as an organization, even as an individual, you are not going to build a good reputation. In other words, you will be like it's a hit or miss situation for you. So once you have your values, those are the things that leads you into the marketplace. Why? Because there's some things you will never do because of your values. And there's some things you will do because your value dictates it. So for you to build a reputation, it must be value driven. And
Again, character comes in here. Character for me is more like yes, your yes be yes, and your no be no, your integrity, and then I think I was talking about dignity. That's where we rest on and everything. Character definitely is not enough. Also, you have to combine character with competence. Competence. Actually, character and competence gives you the credibility to be able to operate in anything that you do. So character is your yes being no, the yes, and then your no being no. And then credibility, what's it called? Competence is you knowing how to do what you said you would do. Because once your competence is questioned, then your reputation will be affected. And that's why we now come to the mirror, to the next line, which is reputation and reality gap. Now, once you have good character, you have good integrity, and your competences are not in place, then there is a gap between what you say you can do and what you can do. In other words, reality is not in your favor. When we check you out, when we look at what you're producing or what you're selling, then we see a gap there. That gap needs to be filled up. And then after you fill up that gap of reputational, what's reputation and reality gap, then you now go back to the last one, which is the reputation and perception gap. Now, let us say that you have the character, you have the competence to do what you said you are going to do or what you said you would deliver. But as long as I do not know that you can deliver it, in my world, you can deliver it. And if your check is with me, you can get it. If your contract is with me, you can get it. Until you begin to change my perception about you, and that's when you can have an inroad into the contract or into the check that we're talking about. So it is your job to be able to sell yourself to people. You must control the way people perceive you. You can never leave that to chance. Whatever they like, they can do with me is a terrible way to live or a terrible mantra to live by in the business world. You must dictate to people how you want them to relate with you. That's perception. And one of the best marketing definition for me is define marketing as managing perceptions. Marketing is managing perception. So you must know how to do it. That clears that. We quickly run into the next one, which is reputation. And look at it. When you look at this, okay, okay, suspend. This is the base. Reputation is the base. It carries everything. Look, you know that. Anything that affects your reputation affects every other thing. Everything is just mirage. It's going to pay into significance. You remember Chile Achebe, things fall apart. Things fall apart because the center cannot hold. And the reason why the center cannot hold is because Mainland is looked upon the hands. That's in Chile Achebe. And their reputation is the center of everything. And you must have it. You must have people to monitor it. You must monitor. There should be nothing said about you on social media that you're not aware of. And you must have somebody to quickly plug in and make sure that they can give your own side of the story. And then what we do in Marco needs to be picturized, videoed, and everything because we can never tell when something will come. The only way we can nullify it or neutralize it by showing them that we are also good people that have done a lot of things in Marco. Not that. Now, when you go to the other side of it, the house three, we talk about resources. Most of the time, that's what happens when we come together like this. We look at our resources, which is very, very encompassing and very, very vast. So you have to look at human capital that we have, the kind of people that are working with us, how qualified are they, how trained are they, how what's it called, innovative are they, which is very laudable. And then also finances, money got to come in. We need to make money. We need to sell because everything revolves around money. Cash flow is king. Actually, not cash, not cash. They say cash is king, but it's actually it's cash flow that is king. Anything that does not have cash flowing regularly is on a long thing. Let me put it that way. And then on the resources, you have structures, you have systems. And one of the things I think when I teach leadership, which is my forte, is to let people know that as a leader, you have to evolve. There's self-leadership, there's system leadership, and system leadership is when you allow the system to lead you. This is where your core values begin to lead you. because in the space that you're going to operate, your core value is actually leading you, not you leading people. You submit yourself to your core value, you submit yourself to the system of your organization. If you, as a CEO, your word is more powerful than the SOPs and standard of what's it called, stock policies and everything that they have there. If your voice is louder than that, you don't have an organization. You have something going somewhere, a disaster going to happen. Then you talk about culture, believability, how to believe us, the values and everything. Those things are within resources. And you can see that everything that we do at trainings is just to increase our capacity for like resourcefulness, more or less. Capacity building, talking about culture system. But most of the time, the reason why companies don't survive and they don't go 20, 30 years, 50 years, is because they neglect the third part of the R3 framework, which is readiness. Readiness is when you are dissatisfied with status quo. This is the point where the CEO, you don't celebrate too soon and you don't celebrate too long. Whatever the success story may be, there's still many more rivers to cross. And that is the mentality every CEO, business owner must have if they want to survive in this time and age. You must just be looking at it, how can we get this better? What can we do to improve what we have? Being dissatisfied with status quo is something that you must embrace. And the second thing that you can see is reinventing yourself. Reinventing yourself. Now we hear a lot of things about BlackBerry being knocked out of the market, which is true, but they are still in the market some other way around. Because right now they control 40% market share when it comes to cybersecurity as it concerns motor vehicles. All the motor vehicles that you see, they are using the high-end of BlackBerry right now. And then out of the 25 EV vehicles that you have around, 24 of them have been locked down by BlackBerry. In other words, when things go down, there's a way you can reinvent yourself only if you have the readiness. And look at the next one there, generating energy. Generating energy. My time is up. You tell me, I'll be good. Let me know when it's 5 minutes so I can go. I can't finish everything. If I can't finish everything, how will you call me back? Are we together? Now, next thing here is generating energy. As the CEO, you are the supplier of energy in the organization. I want to talk about energy. I'm not talking about PNC or whatever it is. I'm talking about mental fortitude, mental capacity. I'm talking about emotional balance in the organization. You must know how to generate it. Are we together here? We must know how to give me my seat. No one, just give me my seat so that I can sit down. You have aligned my people. Is that what okay, don't worry, sit down. Don't worry, sit down, sit down, sit down. Thank you. You're welcome. 5 more minutes for me. Are we together? Are we together? Hello? Hello? I was rushing. You know, I was rushing. Which is very important because there's so much to be done here. Now, generation energy. This is your job, CEO. It doesn't matter. Now, if you allow the money you make to be the source of your energy, you have set up yourself for a disaster. Because the day the money does not come as it used to come, then you will not have enough energy to be able to push the organization to the next level. Never allow money generation be the source of your energy or the main source of your energy. It is part of it because it's the way that when you make some money, there's a way it does to your body. And CEO, there's a way what it does to the organization. But it's much more than that. Now, one of the things you need to also do here as an individual is that you must understand the things around you that are energy vampires. Things around you, people around you that are energy vampires. This is the personal journey that you have to take, all business owner. This is a personal journey that you have to take, all CEO. And this is part of reinventing yourself. And which is, you must know the things that are sapping your energy. Now, this is how you know energy vampires. Anything that takes away your joy, anything that takes away your and makes you sad, anything that makes you feel inadequate or feel lesser than you are, anything or anyone is an energy vampire. Is an energy vampire. When you go, that makes you live there, not inspired. You feel as if you have not done anything with your life and everything. Is an energy vampire. So that's why as a CEO who wants to remain relevant and want to remain on the continent, want to remain ready, you must always put yourself in rooms that are bigger than you. What do I mean? You must put yourself in rooms that will inspire you for more. Because no matter what you have achieved, you have not achieved so much yet. If Elon Musk with $500 billion can still be hungry for more, if Dangote, with $30 billion, the richest African in the world, can still be hungry for more, importing this and that into the country, then we are not there yet. And that is why you must put yourself in place. Actually, you must also likely close your back to know that, okay, Dangote is going to be speaking somewhere, or someone is going to speak, or you just go sit down there, and most of the time, you don't even talk. But when you leave there, you leave there with energy. Energy boost comes in. That energy boost, when you bring it and you know how to convert it, you bring it to your organization. There's a way it takes the organization to the next level. Now, the first word here also is the big picture obsession. The big picture obsession. You always have the big picture. You know what I said about the long-term perspective? Remember? You remember? Big picture. Where are we going? When you have the big picture, you can't afford to be competing with people who are around you with a small view. 5 years is never a big picture. 20 years is probably a big picture, looking like big, When you know what you want to achieve in 20 years, you are much more ready. And then you're not looking at the people who are struggling with you in 3 years. There's a bigger thing ahead of you. Remember what I said about the master. If you lose focus on the ultimate, you what? Become a prisoner of the immediate. Once you become a prisoner of the immediate, you lose your readiness. You lose it immediately. And then when you lose your readiness, it does not matter how much you're making right now, it is just a matter of time. It's like the fan, the buffer or the ceiling fan. And then after the light has gone up, it's still rolling, but you know, it's just a matter of time, the thing is going to stop rolling. Have that in the back of your mind as we move on to the next thing. That all these things are just pilots. They keep the strategy that we're about to discuss going. The ambidextrous strategy. Now, what do I mean by ambidextrous? Ability to use both hands. And as an organization, for you to survive the uncertainty. Remember we talked about the uncertainty? Remember? So in VUCA, that you cannot know how it's coming, where it's coming from. You cannot even calculate it. Complex, you can calculate. Big boss, you can. We have an idea. This is a big boss, so we can. Time. We have calculated, we can feel it. But uncertain, we can't feel it. And that is why the only way to survive that uncertainty is for you to embrace what we call the ambidextrous strategy. And you must be strong on this as a founder, as a business owner, you must be strong on this. And then what are we talking about? Your ability to create an equilibrium between exploitation and exploration. Exploitation and exploration. Exploitation and exploration. You must create a balance. You must be strong in both. And being ambidextrous that we don't even know which hand or which leg you use better. Both left and right, you're good. 100%, 100%. But most of the time, most organizations are not balanced because they put too much focus on one aspect than the other. And then once you have too much focus on one aspect than the other, the uncertainty will definitely treat you in a certain way, and the certain way will be negative. Always good. So let's take a little bit. Let's see how the time. 3 minutes more. Huh? Let me see what I can do. Microwave it. Microwave it. Now, exploitation. Exploitation is no with one. Let me put it this. This is where
you make the product that you have already better. You make it better. We make so much money from our app. Now, what other places can we deploy this app? Where can we take it to, or how can we improve the quality and the usage of this app? That's exploitation. Now, this is the place where you customer satisfaction. This is the place where you do customer retention. Now, hope you know that you're not in the business of making money. Hope you know that. Hope you know that. You know, hope you know. Business is not about making money. Business is about customer satisfaction, customer retention, and customer acquisition. That's all. If you focus on money and don't focus on the customer, how do I satisfy my customer? How do I retain them? How do I acquire more? You will not get the money because the money does not, money comes from people. So it's all about customer satisfaction, customer retention, and customer acquisition. And that is why you're there. So whatever product that you have, you're asking yourself, how can this thing satisfy the customer? How can you retain the customer? How can we make the customer go and get us more customer referrals and everything? If you're not playing that game, you're not in business yet. You're not. So that talks about exploitation. You must get everything from something that is already making you money. That calls for some ingenuity in your team members. Thinking, deep thinking. But this gives you relevance, but it does not guarantee that you'll be relevant in the next 20 years or 30 years. So that's why you have to move to this type of exploitation. Exploitation, basically, now let me say this as a CEO, please listen to me. What you need to do is to structure around these two. You can't be swinging between those. You structure exploitation and you structure exploration. And it's always better if you have a sound COO that you are training, and then the person being in charge of exploitation. While you take care of exploration, it's about strategy and operation. Operation strategy. Now, in exploration, interactive experimentation. What does that mean? I mean, you are doing something over and over and over and again. And in the process of doing it over and over again, you are learning from it. You're learning from it, you are working on it. That is exactly what Thomas Edison did when he said, tried 10,000 times and he got the result. Learned 10,000 times how this thing would not work. Now, as a CEO, you cannot afford to get everything perfected before you get into the market. If you try it, you will be shocked. Somebody that is even helping you to perfect it can leave you and then go and try it in the market. And sometimes it's not the first guy in the market that gets the money, it's the first guy to get into the market, and they are now perfecting it as we move on. And then that's one thing that we need to lock up in our brains so we can move on with speed, embracing speed, and failure learning. Failure learning, you learn from your failure. I always teach this when I'm talking in church. There's a particular scripture in church, which is Luke 16, verse 8. It talks about the message translation that no, Matthew 25. They leave no allowance, no allowance for error. Allowance for error. In other words, there is error, but there's no allowance for it. We correct it immediately. We correct it immediately. And that's very important for us to pay attention to. And, you know, when you look at the exploration and exploitation, the case of Nokia comes to 4. And you are asking yourself, what did Nokia do wrong? Even the CEO at that time said we did nothing wrong, which is very correct. So the question that you ask is that you do everything right. Because doing nothing wrong is exploitation. Doing things right is exploration. So you must. They did not even see what was coming against them. Because they failed to realize that how did you even take over the telecoms, what's it called, the phone industry. Nokia. Nokia was not a phone industry from the beginning. Nokia was producing toilet rolls. And then they got into the business of telephone and they knocked out the Motorola and the Shine, not Samsung, not and then for every three telephone, one was an Nokia at that point in time. So if you came as a telephone maker and you're now dominating the market, what makes you think the people you're competing with are just going to be phone manufacturers? Because the guys who knocked him out of the market, the Apples and everything were not even telephone makers. One was bloody making iPod. The other one was even selling vegetables. Samsung. Hope you know that Samsung time was selling vegetables. They actually, yeah. Samsung vegetables, they started buying all the banks. From Korea, when the Civil War was there between North and South Peninsula and everything. And now they are, what's it called? A telephone manufacturer, a phone manufacturer, five manufacturer. Most people don't realize that Samsung actually built what Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, was built by Samsung. And I just came back from Doha, and I was teaching this. One of the guys who was living in Doha said, no, not just that. And now Samsung is the one doing the pipeline in Qatar. I mean, it was doing the pipeline in Qatar. What happens is that exploration helps you to get to a point where it is to tell you that it is not the business you started with that you will end up with. So some of us are still emotionally attached to our business, and this is the business that made me to learn. It must be there, it was there. But you know what? When you get into that exploration game, you begin to see things, and you know, okay, where do I need to diversify? Where do I need to pivot into? And everything like that. Until you play, you're not ready yet. And you excel in what? Or certainty. My time is up. It's not right. This is the yes. So at this point, thank you for your attention. What is it? Don't know that you you might dance to your own that you don't where they really spend too much time. And then you come back again. But I think with what we heard so far, you can just pick it up. I think with some of my books, two of my books, we can just try and figure it out. There's one particular one that you need to put your hands on. It's called Game Changer. How do you change the game? Repetition is there. And then you can let that game change there. And then the second one that I would strongly recommend is what I call Grow. Grow is all about leadership. How do you grow using your brain? You know, sometimes we don't understand that our brain goes through 5 waves every 24 hours. So, sorry, our brain is supposed to go through 5 waves every 24 hours, but sometimes it goes through 3, sometimes it goes through 2, sometimes it doesn't even go, it goes through at least 2 or 3. So you must figure it out to know, okay, how do I make sure that I get the best out of my brain when it switches over to those waves? And all those things, you can get it in the book Grow. And then I think my colleague is outside is ready to give you a good discount. And also, in 2 minutes, you will be have a program coming up in Abuja, 11th and 12th, and it's all about balance, creating a balance. So we'll be out there waiting for you. If you're interested, we'll talk about it. Thank you. God bless you for your time.
Yeah, so let's take this forward. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Yeah, so that was super impactful, right? But it continues. It continues. We have this book, and you can also, and that's why BNI is just fantastic. You can actually walk across the game, have a conversation with him, and get more impacted. So if we don't do a recap of what he's told us or what we've learned from him, now the key things that comes to light are these. We need to think about greatness before we become good. So even before you are thinking of how to be great, you have to think about greatness before you become good. So whatever it is, you keep iterating your service, iterating your product, iterating your ideas, your strategy, way before you get it good, before you become great. You do not lose focus on the ultimate so that you avoid becoming a prisoner of the immediate. Nigeria will humble you on this. You all agree. Because the immediate is staring us in the face. But from what we've heard from our guest speaker, we've been told not to lose focus of the ultimate. Uncertainty, uncertainty, uncertainty. Whatever we thought of when we were talking about Generation Z, AI has come to topple a whole lot of other things and is unraveling each day with us. But it's made us know that to manage uncertainty, we need to get into the balancing act, right? We need to be ambidextrous. You need to use, just like me, your left side of your brain as well as the right side of your brain. I'm left-handed, but I could also use my right hand as well. So that's just what it means. You have to balance exploitation and exploration. If you envy the Dangotes, if you envy the dollars, if you envy the Genovias and the Lubelis of this world, where they are playing is at the exploration stage. They have gotten people that are so good, so competent in exploiting what was it that they started as a core and how they built into it. You cannot do away with being resourceful. You must be ready for the market and you cannot undermine your reputation. So no matter what happens, do not joke about your business, no matter how nice it might sound to you. That said, we will just go straight into our panel session. And this panel session is going to be moderated by Dr. Pascal DK. So we will just quickly invite our panelists to come up. Dr. Lydia Adesanya, you kindly come up again, please. And we'll have Mrs. Modupe Adeyinka Oni. I'm going to give a short intro to her. And Mr. David Lambe Messon, then Otumba Kimber will also join us. Mrs. Modupe Oni is the team lead at Educa 360. She extends her impact by providing free, accessible phonics and literacy courses on YouTube, helping learners outside the traditional classroom setting. Mrs. Adeyinka Oni is a visionary leader who is reshaping children's education throughout Africa. As the founder of Standard Bearer School in Lekki, she has redefined early childhood education by integrating innovation, technology, and character development to nurture confident, forward-thinking young leaders. It's a great pleasure to have Mrs. Oni with us today, and we kindly welcome her to the panel table. Okay, so wait for Mrs. Oni to come back. We want to kindly welcome for the panel session Mr. David Lambe Messon. He's the founding partner of Failed Founders. He's been recognized for his contributions. He's an entrepreneurship expert, a venture builder, angel investor, venture studio operator, corporate trainer, and startup advisor based in Lagos. He's the founding partner and chief venture builder of First Founders, which is a venture studio and ecosystem collective that builds and invests in early stage ideas. They currently have 6 portfolio startups that they work with, and under his tenure, has achieved a 6.5x. If you are within the venture space, that's a good number. That's a good number. A 6.5x multiple on invested capital. He has a background in mass communications, disruptive tech strategy, marketing strategy, venture capital, and entrepreneurship. Beyond business, he's engaged in creative pursuits like writing, which has led to 2 books that he has authored, and also public speaking at events like TEDx. So thank you so much for being with us today. Mr. Larry, so yeah, we are inviting again to our panel session Otumba Akimbo, thank you so much for staying around and being with us today. I'll be studying back in the room. Ma'am, we've read your profile, so please kindly join us. Now I'll call on the moderator, Dr. Pascal DK, to lead the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you. I think Leslie deserves a lot of applause. Thank you. Well, I wish I could have a seat here, but I'm still a young man, so I can really stand it and ask for your indulgence. Man, the stage has been set, and I think all time for me enough. You know, I think you not only want the matches, there's wonderful people in this room, but you have woken them up to what I call intentional consciousness. Now, we all here there and we came asking that question, whether we have done of exploration. And we're sure what I'm having back. But I think that's critically important. You know, and when we're speaking, something was just thinking in my head. And before I started this section, I just remembered me. There's a company in Japan that is 1,445 years old, the oldest company in the world. Yes, those Congo Gumi, 1,445. The construction company. And you were talking about companies being 20 years, 40 years, maybe 100 years. And I did a bit of research because I was doing a lot of things in Japanese. I really wanted to understand why. And it's a concept in Japan called Kaizen. Kaizen. And it means incremental steady improvement. Incremental steady improvement. And in the night, most people want to do it quick and get money to a short off. They'll become big. And then the next year they're gone. But one thing Japanese companies need is that you want to be patient. You want to be consistent. It is better that you take one step every day for 365 days and look back and see how far you've come. I want you to lead 20 steps or 50 steps ahead. So in this country, the question is, how are businesses doing? What have been the focus? Like they say, is it about the money, or satisfying the customer, acquiring our customer, and ensuring that you can actually keep running? So let us go straight into the panel of introduce. I want to thank you again on behalf of BNI for being here. I know you have a lot of important things. Dr. Lee, I saw you jumping from that building. I went into a prayer and fasting session for you. It would be fun, but you know, I have to do that. Not a lot of persons want to do that. So thank you. It's been a long time. Having that. And for everything you're doing in the space, for this country, we really want to appreciate that. Thank you. So thank you so much. Your investment in education is well acknowledged, and you've been in this space for a long time. And investing in the future of young people. But how do we do that in this country? We all want this country to get better. So whenever you find yourself, whatever is important, way to look back and say, yeah, we didn't live on this. And you're going to actually do a short notice. I know. But when you're speaking soft spoken or deep, the context was something that I'm sure I'm living better and something that you want to show I speak for them. Thank you so much for honoring us. It was 72 hours for them. I'm sure maybe we're informed for this. Yesterday, so I didn't imagine. All right. So our central thing for this conference is elevate and shine. And what Tumba was speaking, it is a specific simple definition with the elevators to raise standards, expand to push beyond boundaries. Since you have microphone, and I'm sure you've been there. I'll start with first what I call a very simple question. It's important. Given the environment that we operate in Nigeria, I believe that the environment where you operate has a lot to do whether you are able to elevate and expand and you are consistent. So that's Nigeria. business environment, people give one advice to an entrepreneur, somebody who is thinking, striving to thrive in business, what would be your advice?
The Nigerian ecosystem, business environment, we all know that it's very volatile, very crazy. And for you to delve into that environment, you have to first understand the cultural shifts that is currently in the marketplace before you create a product. Which is that beyond the fact that we are very emotional, we are also very cultural in our engagement with where we different. So if I have to give everybody advice today, and this has played out even in the businesses that I've invested in, the venture build, that's why people businesses from idea stage. So before, even when you come to me with an idea, I'm asking myself, is this an idea that is just techy, or an idea that fits into the culture of the people that command that automatic demand while we get into market? That in itself is something that I like to let anyone who wants to set up a business or go into the marketplace to understand. You need to understand the market that you are playing, you want to play with. You can niche them to understand, because also the fact that everybody is buying, you want to manufacture it for everybody does not mean that everybody wants to buy the same car that you are manufacturing. So you need to clearly understand the markets that you are targeting and know exactly what to provide or produce for them to be able to grow. But it is in understanding how they want you to serve them that will determine how your product will grow. I'll give a quick example. In India, there is a company called Jotoku. So Jotoku is the biggest refrigerator company in India. And they do so well, and they were market leaders, right? As market leaders, they only have 30% of the market. Are you the market leader and you have just 13% of that market? And I began to wonder, why are we 13% and we are leaders in the market? That means that we are number one. Something is happening to the rest of the 87% of the market, and they commissioned the research team. And when they commissioned that research team, they went out, they came with the first data saying that, oh, everybody that the people that buy a fridge are elites. You know, they can't really buy a fridge, right? And then one of them said, if they can't buy our fridge, that means there's a way they want us to manufacture the fridge for them. And we go and ask more questions to understand that. And it went further. Then we found out that 70% of the Indian population are fans. They are from there in the remote villages and all that. So they went to them, started asking them questions to say that, oh, what do you buy our fridge? I said, what do you want to do with your fridge? First of all, we don't have the money to buy your expensive fridge. Number two, we spend about 70% of our time on the farm, right? And also for the fact that we don't have electricity where we live like that. And again, we need to move from the farm out. How do we get it? Don't worry, we already have these clay pots that holds our water. And we can always get the water from that clay pot. But there was this particular guy amongst them, and all of this feedback, you know, we processed that feedback into something tangible and created and designed a portable refrigerator, right? That does not use electricity but depends on solar, right? And it's also made out of recycled material, and you can move it from one destination to the other. You know, luckily it's still made approved that it should, you know, make that product. So they made 100 pieces, took it to the farm, took it to the guy and said, test it. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, also let us know. In 2 weeks, it started coming. Like hundreds of calls were coming and saying, we want more of the fridges. People are really using these fridges and all of that. Unfortunately, when they went back, they found out that it was not only the business farmers that were using it, but those that have small shops, the stores and all of that started using, you know, the refrigerators. We asked them, most of them, they said, okay. People started asking, how much are you spending? Because as I tried to get it out of it, I'll go next. Just now, no price to it. I was asking how much we want to buy down. Now we get to the other village. Because we can allow people water also wait from our house to the other. Now, when did I explain this?
Sometimes the answer is not in your heart or in your head. The answer is in the hearts of those that you want to serve. But it's important that you understand the problem deeper. I don't just think that they need refrigerator and you need refrigerator for them. So if I'm to say one thing, understand the people and their problems deeper. Thank you.
Thank you. I told you it's not around my God. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Lee, I'd like you to intervene here. I know you, not just an advisor, but you prepare a lot of CEOs, business owners, both national and internationally. And we have people who aspire to do better in their businesses and someday become not just renowned, but leaders that can be reference point for a lot of others. So my question to you is, when you sit in the room with these CEOs, what do you hear regularly, and what are your responses to them? Imagine that these are those persons.
Okay, I'll pick it up from here. Normally, you have two kinds of entrepreneurs. And there's one I call the structured entrepreneur and then the street entrepreneur. Unfortunately for us, unfortunately, whichever one applies to each individual, is that the street entrepreneurs are more like 80 to 90%. And street entrepreneurs are people who have not done anything before, they just got into the market, they sold those goods, and then money is coming in. And then those ones are very arrogant. They feel that because they are making money, that they can keep making money in 5, 10, 15 years, not knowing that there needs to be structure. Now, the structural entrepreneur, the people who have worked for a long time, probably so they understood structure. And those ones who make mistakes. They start their own business, and they want to structure everything immediately. They want all the necessary staff, all the cars, everybody, the rent in office that they don't even know how to pay the rent in the next 5 years. So that's the balance. But the ones that we have more in our world because of our situation in Nigeria, the economic situation, people are pushed into entrepreneurship. Those are very now, I think what people need to realize that you cannot get there alone. You can't. That's why collaboration, talking about collaboration, and also people, there's nobody gets to the top. Everybody's got to be top. Somebody will have to mention himself. So you need to know how to cultivate those people, how to build those relationships. Unfortunately, I couldn't use my future. I was going to explain to people the kind of friends that needs to be in their corner. Because sometimes it's not the best guy that gets the best job. It's the best guy with the best relationship that gets the best job. And you must be strategic about the relationship that you build. And then number one, you must a doctor must be your friend, especially in Nigeria here. Well, about 100,000, 200,000 people are to one doctor. And then you know that you won't have your time if you don't put him on your side. And then our life expectancy in Nigeria for male is 54.6, and for female is 56 points. That tells you that nobody actually you start building wealth when you get into your 40 and your 50, and you start stabilizing what you have built. So you need to be long. So you need a doctor on your side, you need accountants, you need auditors, you need lawyers like you, lawyers, something online. So when someone like this are the first you need to look out for before you sign any contract. I quickly speak munched it. Let me just do it. I will look at it again whenever I'm ready. And then lawyers, there's what I call owners of industry. Now, owners of the space, you need to pay attention to owners. Owners are also regulators of your industry. People who have market share, the high market share in your industry, they are owners. If you think, except God has given you one innovative, very destructive idea, well, most likely you will have to still pay homage to those people, know how to cut their favor. If you decide to go against that, I think it was Mr. Invaluable Panex that was saying about the rice about when he was trying to import rice. He said it will allow you, when you want to import the rice, you now borrow money from the bank, you now go to Thailand. And as you have bought the rice, and you put it on the ship, and it's coming. And probably the price of rice was 50 naira in Nigeria. So you went there and you got it for 45 naira, thinking that you make 5 naira out of each bag. They will allow you to bring the sheep. They will monitor it. When it gets to the middle of the sea, they will now drop the price in Nigeria to 30,000, 39. So when you get here, you are forced to sell it to them. So when you sell it to them, you now raise the price. So when you have this at the back of your mind, then you know that when people like that are having conferences, they're having meetings, you need to be there. Just to show that, I'm here, so that they can hear what you say. Some things that I always tell people, that's some things like Harvard and business school do not teach you. And so you have to, so what we call preach credibility. And the regulators also. Anybody, any institution that is regulating your industry must be your friend. You must be involved in their conferences. You must be involved in their social, corporate social responsibility. You must bring money when they are going. Okay, you want to go to Coco and everything like that. If they are regulators, you need to give them money. It doesn't have to be much. Just give them something. You have to be in their good book, because if they decide to look at you, although you are clean, but it may take you a long time to prove yourself. And in the process of proving yourself, operation may have been stalled one way or the other in the process of proving yourself. I tell people this, anyone here, especially when you're above 35 or 40, if you put on the MRI machine, we will see something. But it depends on what we see. And it depends on the person that is analyzing your report. Your results. We want on check-up, medical check-up. They say, the red, you see some red in your report. And the doctors look at it, they say it's not significant. They don't wait and see what will happen. That's because you met a good doctor. If you met a doctor that wants to collect money, say this significantly hides the serious matter. So no matter where you are, the regulators have to be your, and then politicians also. Yeah. I tell people that I went on a coach and said, look, when the last letter, I said the question, you are acting for a business. They said you are business. I said, okay. I don't care who want to vote for, but don't go online to shout. Because if you go online to shout, they are waiting for you. That's why this problem has been happening. And the lawyers are investing lawyer. And they must know that as your business grows, your patronage of lawyers also needs to be evolving. And because they are good lawyers, they are great lawyers. According to Elon Musk would not mean. He said a good lawyer is the one that knows the law. And a great lawyer is the one that knows the judge. Thank you so much. We're going to go to Mrs. Omila. Before I come to you, you better acknowledge people beginning to realize what happens when consignment is at the middle of the street. And I watched the new street some time ago where two merchants, products that were selling. And one of them felt the other guy was too cheap. Right? And what he did was to buy the guy off, paying him, and then increase his own price 3 times. And people were still coming to him. And also understand the environment very well and how best we continue to navigate all the challenges and stay afloat. That's very important for us. Thank you for your thoughts on that. For one of time, I'm going to move the bigger. Recently, I think for us, foundation is very important, right? And so, we want to understand, even in the educational sector, how the foundation for education was curriculum and the exposures we have, or what goes into the minds and souls of young people or tomorrow's business owners. How would that affect their relatives and business? I mean, so what should we be looking at? What should we focus at that foundational level?
Thank you very much. Good question. You know that as an educator now, we're faced with this dilemma where they tell us that we're educating children for jobs that we don't know. And at first it sounded like a joke. they say the 5-year-olds in our schools, we don't know what they're going to do when they're 18, thanks to technology, thanks to AI, and everything in that space. But then there's something that is critical. Whatever they need for the future, they need the right values. They need to be confident. So they talk about the skills and competencies of the future. So today, we're having discussions where at the end of the first quarter, they just changed a curriculum. Whether it's a change or not, we will find out. But they have thrown things into the mix. Mandarin is to be taught. AI is to be taught. We are asking where are the teachers coming from? But at the end of the day, one thing I know is that the Nigerian people by nature are resilient people.
Yeah.
And we always find a way. But what I want to, just talk about is that you and I sitting in this room, we're privileged. If we go back to when Nigeria gained independence and we had the different regions, Baba Awolowo was very intentional about something when he said all children, irrespective of their tribes or religion, must go to school.
Yeah.
Because he knew that education was going to be the way forward. And so we all went to school. And in those days, there was no school for the rich or school for the poor. But with the oil boom, what happened? A lot of people now started settling for private schools like mine. And the public schools were left unattended to because the children of civil servants no longer went there. Today, what we have in Nigeria is 55 million children in public schools. Most of them cannot read and write. Yes, they brought a 14-year-old boy to me. He was picked from the streets of Lagos. He dropped out of GS2 because he couldn't read. So we're having to teach him in our school today how to read. But because we have the methodology to teach, it's for his learning. But the question is, who is training the teachers today to teach the children today when the world says that teaching pedagogy has changed? We have problems in Nigeria in the education space. And so, yes, some privileged children will make it to the bottom. But many of these children are not choosing Nigeria. They're choosing the West. So Nigeria has a problem, and I guess that's why they invited me here. Because you all have companies and you want to be able to employ. Let me tell you something. It's not going to happen if you don't do anything about it. If you don't fix the talent, because private schools are called non-state schools for a reason. It means that our data is not actually in government. We are registered, we are approved, but how many children we have in our school, how many teachers we have in our school, it's not really important to them. Because at the end of the day, when we do our exams, our results just go into the pool, but you don't hear it's broken down into private and public. Right? So if you want to change Nigeria so that your business can stand the test of time, like Mr. D said, you have to understand that you have to have CSRs that focus on the poor people. Because my work in Makoko has shown me that these children that we look at as poor, it's just circumstances. They got the short end of the stick. But in every way, they have the same dreams that your children have. They have the same desires, they have the ability, but they just don't have the opportunity. And so I think one of the things that in your business is when you're thinking about your future, is so into the next generation, one way or another. Because that child, I think there was one video that went viral of a boy who was picked up by his teacher. he couldn't pay for his common entrance. No, his YA. And so the teacher had a salary and she decided to pay for this boy's YA. And she said she'll find a way. And many years later, she was looking for a job and she entered the room. And this young man walks in and she looks at him. He looks familiar, but he's cleaned up. He's actually the big boss to interview. Oh, wow. And he just looks at her and says, "What's your name again?" "What school did you teach at?" "You're the one who paid for my wife. Without you, so I don't even need to interview you. You've got the job." And that is the ripple effect of being kind to people because you don't know where you're going to meet it in the future. So, 3 days ago, I was sitting in school where one of the facilitators in one of the cells, what we do in iAfrica is that we have different cells where we go and teach people how to read. We train teachers, just doing our little bits. And the guy comes in and says, "I have something to tell you. You remember when you came to my school, I told you that in our community, we are people, we're fishermen. We don't go to school. But they are coming to this school because it's free, and I don't know how long they will stay in the school for." So I said, "It doesn't matter, just let's try. Education is the way forward." We have this resource we've developed. I gave them computer project. I said, "Just try this method of teaching them how to read." His testimony is that for the first set of year 5, which a lot of the schools, year 6, now year 5, they were graduating. And these children decided, "We're not going to fish. We want to go to school." They talked to the parents. The parents said they had no money. But you know that 23 children came together, 11 and 12-year-olds, and they decided we must raise the money. We're all going to junior secondary school. What did they start doing? They cannot fish, they cannot ferry. They started ferrying people across and collecting money, and they agreed 100 naira a day, everybody must drop the contribution. Today, those 23 children are in school in like 200 because we went to teach them to read. So there are little things that you can do that will help Nigeria. If everybody can leave this room understanding that we are here as business people to make money, but also to help. And the best way to help is help tomorrow, because your business needs people tomorrow. And if you don't fix it, where's the pipeline?
Thank you so much. Yeah. Strong recommendations to all of us on this show. But I think you unpack a lot of things. You identify where the challenge is. They are still there. We're failing what happens to the regulators. I don't want to say government now because I don't think it's misunderstood. There are government agencies or institutions responsible for ensuring that we have uniform, consistent, relevant curriculum. It's not just do things. People you want to teach math, you want to teach AI, who have not prepared the ground. I just want to start working without walking. And I think that's very important for us to understand. But the important for me is the fact that you are awake and conscious of the fact that the business should be about the money, the impact and CSI investment. What I call paying it forward. That woman you talked about use her salary to sponsor a young person. And then in some time of tomorrow, she benefits from it, she pays it forward. And that's what we must do as business owners, entrepreneurs. We're trying to find ourselves what is your investment. I have this thought and put it out. I generated it about 4 years ago. I think you lose the right to complain when you cannot show what you have contributed. You lose the right to complain as a business, so as a politics, wherever. The moment you cannot show what you have contributed, you lose your right to complain. And for me, that's the question for us business owners. What are we contributing? Okay? If it goes to the community where we're operating out of that's very important. I'm going to talk to the people now. The good thing is you are of the LCCI. I'm sure you have a lot of members who are in different sectors of business. You can also, imagine that they come to you with a lot of complaints, issues, and they try to intervene sometimes, between themselves and government agencies, regulators, and all that. So my question is, concerning Nigeria's data protection regulations, what is the biggest misconception Nigerian data protection have about compliance, and what action they must take this quarter to avoid legal exposure? So what are some of the challenges? If you were to make a recommendation, what would that be from the perspective of the information you have the details there? Thank you.
Data compliance or privacy. For me, it's a controversial question. And I say that because Nigeria often, in almost any sphere of both business or social interactions, we like talking. And I'll jump off the topic and then go back to the topic to show you the relevance. Um, you talked a little bit about Japan and Iceland and things like that. And the whole just-in-time thing in Japan, do you know why that was? That really happened because Japan is really a small place. So it's quite easy to get goods from point A to point B in a very short amount of time. It didn't make any sense for Toyota or Honda or any of these companies to have big inventories when the guy who makes them is just over there. And so, due to the lay of the land, was why and how just in time came to be. And then Kaizen then was built on production line and a bunch of other things. Now, if you look at the automotive sector, which is where that started, what happened is very quickly, very rapidly, the Japanese cars got extremely good, really well made. The Americans there, let's copy. They went watching all that same thing. You want to have, only two defects per year. You want to have only this, that. But guess what? The guy who makes, I don't know, one part defender or whatever, is not 40 kilometers away. It's 4 hours by plane on the other side of the country. You can't just copy, you have to look at why the person does the thing and then adapt your own. So as much as the Americans tried, they were never able to get to the same level of efficiency that the Japanese were. It's just too big. And then a more recent example would be the Chinese and how we work, their diligence and all of that. The Americans will tell you it's great back, it's time for lunch and it's 2 hours. Is trained by their workers' rights. So the point I'm getting to there is that you have to look at your own environment and what makes your environment unique and makes your business successful or can make your business successful in your environment. If you look at the startup world, where heat is, that's another good example. What happens there is, you go for a funding round, you put money into the business, and they're all expecting you go to 2x, 5x, 10x, in 3 or 4 years. But you have to remember, over there in the West, the capital is from our perspective in Nigeria, the capital is unlimited. It's like we were shouting it up, paying $10,000, $20,000